Today I want to talk to you about how to flush sugar out of your body overnight. I'm talking dropping your blood sugar 30 to 50 points while you sleep in just a few easy steps. Now most people think that blood sugar control is solely determined by what you eat during the day. But there's a specific window overnight where your body has the ability to clear excess sugar out of the bloodstream far more efficiently than at any other point in the 24-hour cycle. The thing is, though, almost nobody uses it correctly. Today, I want to show you the exact tactics to take advantage of this particular window to lower your blood sugar overnight. Now, the first tactic is simple. It starts with just a 10-minute walk 20 to 30 minutes after finishing the last meal of your day. Doing this produces a large reduction in your post-meal glucose spikes. This happens because glucose absorption into the bloodstream peaks rapidly after eating, and muscle contraction during that specific window pulls glucose directly into muscle cells through GLUT4 transporters, a pathway that does not require insulin at all. And here's why this timing matters so much for what happens while you sleep. During sleep, your body shifts into a state where growth hormone and specific repair-oriented metabolic processes take priority over active digestion and glucose handling. Your liver spends a portion of the night actively replenishing glycogen, the stored form of glucose in the liver and muscles. When you blunt the glucose spike from your last meal with a well-timed walk, you hand your liver a calmer, more manageable glucose load to work with, as it starts that overnight glycogen replenishment. And this is exactly why what you eat at dinner matters, just as much as when you walk afterwards. A large carbohydrate-heavy meal followed directly by sitting around after you finished eating is one of the most reliable ways that guarantees your liver is already starting behind the 8-ball. If you are someone that genuinely craves carbohydrates, and I get it, let's be honest, we all crave some good carbs from time to time. Lunch is a far better window to consume these carbs than dinner, particularly if you're active after work or you're running errands that day. Dinner is one of those meals that can have the least amount of built-in movement after you finished eating, which again makes it the worst meal to load up on carbs. But we're going to fix that. We're going to shoot for a smaller, less carb-heavy dinner. And we're also going to include that 10-minute walk in the first 20 to 30 minutes after you finished eating. Now, tactic number 2 is the one that almost nobody has heard of, and it is genuinely surprising. I'm talking about the correlation between room temperature and glucose control. Sleeping in a cooler room does more than just improve sleep quality. Cooler ambient temperature during sleep activates a small but measurable increase in brown adipose tissue activity, the metabolically active fat that burns glucose for heat production. Research has found that sleeping in a room around 66 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit compared to a warmer room in the mid-70s was associated with improved overnight glucose metabolism and better insulin sensitivity the following morning. The mechanism is your body working slightly harder to maintain core body temperature throughout the night. This keeps a low level of glucose-burning metabolic activity running in the background, while your liver is simultaneously working through that glycogen replenishment process. This is a completely passive intervention. You don't have to wake up. You don't have to exercise. You don't have to change your diet. You simply set the thermostat lower about an hour before bedtime. Now, before we get into the last 2 tactics that most directly impact your fasting morning blood sugar, if this kind of practical and non-obvious information is exactly what you've been looking for, please consider subscribing. It's completely free, and every subscribe genuinely helps push this information out to the people that need to hear it the most. Now, the third tactic involves hydration. And most people know that hydration is good when it comes to blood sugar control. But very few people know how to time it correctly. Your kidneys are one of your body's primary routes for actually eliminating excess glucose, not just regulating it. But your kidneys can only clear so much sugar per unit of urine based on basic osmotic limits. So what does that mean? If you're dehydrated, your kidneys physically cannot flush out as much excess glucose, no matter how well everything else is working. That means staying well hydrated throughout the day is a genuine physical mechanism for helping your body eliminate excess blood sugar. Not just a wellness tip that you hear people talk about, but the timing matters here too. If you load up on water late in the evening to try to compensate for a day of poor hydration, you're very likely to wake up multiple times overnight to urinate. And that sleep disruption itself can worsen blood sugar control the next day, creating the exact problem you were trying to avoid. The fix to this is simple. You want to front-load your hydration earlier in the day. So, by the time the clock rolls around until about 2 hours before your bedtime, you've already given the kidneys what they need to do their job efficiently. I would really try to focus on getting most of your hydration done from the minute you wake up until about the middle of the afternoon. It may feel a little uncomfortable at first, but honestly, this one change alone will help your morning blood sugar readings dramatically. Now, tactic number 4 has been consistently replicated in human research, and almost nobody is using it at the right time of the day. I'm talking about using apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar taken shortly before your last meal of the day or shortly before bed has been shown across multiple controlled trials to meaningfully lower fasting glucose the following morning. And the mechanism runs through 2 separate pathways. First, the acetic acid in the vinegar slows gastric emptying, which blunts how quickly glucose from your last meal enters the bloodstream in the first place. Again, giving your liver a calmer glucose load to work with as it starts its overnight glycogen replenishment. And secondly, acetic acid appears to directly improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. This means the insulin your body does release can work more efficiently to clear glucose from the blood rather than leaving it in circulation longer than it needs to be. The practical tactic and how to implement this is simple. Do 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar diluted in about 8 ounces of water, either taken with or preferably shortly before the last meal of your day. You have to make sure to dilute the apple cider vinegar as it's acidic enough to cause tooth damage and irritate the esophagus over time. If you don't want to use the liquid itself, you can also buy capsules to be taken around the same time that can work just as well. If you want the best and most affordable version of apple cider vinegar on Amazon, I'll put a link to both the capsules and the liquid in the description below. I want to address one last thing quickly before ending this video, because I know a lot of people watching this video are already on diabetic medication, and you may be wondering, how does my medication fit into all of this? Some medications like the SGLT2 inhibitor class, things like Jardiance, Farxiga, and Invokana work by forcing your kidneys to flush out excess sugar through the urine whenever blood sugar crosses a certain threshold. That's a real legitimate mechanism, and for many people these medications are necessary and appropriate. But I want to be clear with you. This is not the first-line approach, or at least it shouldn't be. Medication doing the flushing out for you is very different than your own body flushing out the sugar in the exact mechanisms that we just talked about. If you're relying entirely on medication without creating those healthy habits, you're working against yourself, and in many cases you can actually make things worse. The tactics in this video is what I want you to try first alongside medication if necessary. But regardless, if you do these tactics over and over, you will see results and your blood sugar will come down as well as your A1C. Now, if you like what you've heard in this video and you want to take just one more step forward in terms of knowing what are the right foods, the right movement strategies, sleep habits, and other evidence-based supplements to help reverse my type 2 diabetes or even your prediabetes, I put all of that information together in my free resource called the Metabolic Blueprint. You can find it using the link in the description below. Finally, He grants sleep to those He loves. This is from the book of Psalm 127 verse 2. In my next video, I talk about 6 additional tactics that can lower your blood sugar faster than anything else at all. They pair perfectly with the things we talked about in this video. So, if you're interested,